Hi everybody, this is Ospreyeye from mychartcoach.com. And so yeah, I'm going to try to get back in the saddle here and make some videos. Right now we've got some, as everybody knows, major market pressure, huge pullback. You've got now we've got the Dow bouncing off the lows. You can see here with futures trading, big bounce off the low for SPY, NASDAQ big bounce off the low. And then you can see over here VIX looks like it could be hitting some resistance here. And so let's take a look here first at the VIX daily chart. This is a chart I made earlier in the week, and as you can see, or maybe it was last week, it was several days ago, made this chart, and it showed the resistance levels here for VIX. And so you can see here we identified earlier in the week that 36 was the top for back here in December, on the December peak. And notice today VIX came right up to that 36 level and pulled back. And so yeah, it hit it perfectly, and the pullback on VIX timed the market bounce. So now going forward, what VIX needs to do, it has to hold 30. You can see 30 was the big support zone. If VIX can stay above 30, it could possibly retest 36. If it drops below 30, that should signal that the market is going to bounce and that volatility is topped out. I mean, it looks to me, if you look here at MACD, you can see how vertical MACD line is down here. This is the black line. That shows that MACD is really pushing hard. You can see it's hitting the levels from back here in December. And so, anything that gets really steep like this on the MACD line, where it's super parabolic, usually it's signaling an unsustainable move. I mean, this is completely vertical down here on the 8, 13, and 5. If you look here in December, once it starts hooking, it really pulls back fast. So we could be setting up for a nice market bounce here if VIX can drop down below 30. A couple other things that I've been looking at here on the VIX daily chart. As you can see here, RSI is up here at 81, and so each time that it's hit this level in the past, this is where it topped out at. You can see it's right here at the December peak level, and then back here in October of 2018, it got a little bit higher. But we're talking here in the next, it's looking like the market could possibly be setting up for a bounce tomorrow. It should, tomorrow, Friday for sure, we should get some sort of relief bounce. If you look at Fasto here, it dropped below 80, and so you notice how Fasto hardly ever stays above 80 on the daily chart for VIX. Pulling back below signals that it's starting to break down. So now we're looking at potential market bounces here. If you look at the Dow Jones industrial average on the daily chart, you can see RSI is at 22, so that's well below that 30 level. You have Fasto that's starting to hook up. If Fasto breaks above 20 on the daily chart for the Dow Jones industrial average, that should signal the bounce play is starting. If you look at these are charts that I made earlier during the beginning of the pullback, so the annotations have not been updated, but this is what we've been working on in the chat. And you can see here the last Friday was the time to get negative on the market as it pulled down and closed below that middle Bollinger Band. That's the dotted purple line. That's also the 20-day simple moving average. That was also the day last Friday that EMA 13 broke. EMA's 4 and 8 broke on Thursday. So these were all clues that the market was going to pull back. Also, last week there was that move where you had the big sell-off. I think it was Wednesday of last week, and there was a big dip, and then the market bounced back quickly. That was the signal, the sign that people were preparing for a big pullback. And so, breaking below that 50-day simple moving average at 28,733 did signal downside risk. Failed to hold the 100, failed to hold the 200, and you can see what it did here is it got back into this previous channel. This was the top here. It was kind of lined up with the 200-day simple moving average, and it dropped below. And that was signaling to us that it might come down and test the bottom portion of the channel, which was down here around 2600. That's exactly where it bounced off of. Notice the black and the blue lines here. The Dow's trying to hold the 400 and 300-day simple moving averages. So right now what I would watch is this 300-day simple moving average at 26593. If SPY can get, or if Dow can get above that level, what we'd be looking for is this upward gap to fill and the candles to work back into the bands. The lower Bollinger Band Band's this purple line here at 26968. And so today's candle well below the lower Bollinger Band during a pullback signals that the candles could work their way back into the bands. On a big bounce, what you look for is a move back to EMA4 at 27206. Usually EMA4 for stocks in a downtrend will signal a temporary top when you get a bounce back from the lower Bollinger Band. So if the Dow comes up and it fails to break the 200-day simple moving average at 27241, if it fails to break this 27200 level again, that would be the profit taking zone on the market bounce. You can see the inverse here on MACD. Look how how it dropped off a cliff here, the MACD line. It's straight down. That's an unsustainable move to the downside. What we should see here is the MACD line to start hooking up. Now let's take a look at SPY. So SPY here has a similar kind of move. This is the daily chart. Annotations are old from earlier in the week, but you can see here it dropped below 30, and so at 25 you're now hitting the oversold levels. SPY usually doesn't stay below 30 for very long. You can see here on Fasto you got the crossover, the black line crossed over the red line. That is a buy signal if it can stay above the red line, and then look for SPY above 20 tomorrow, or Fasto above 20 on SPY tomorrow. If that happens, that's going to help signal that yes, we do have a bounce going. Notice it's trading above the open right now. You have the hollow candle after the gap down. SPY bounced right off the 200-day simple moving average at 302.46. That's this red line, and so that's what we were looking for earlier in the week, was a drop down to that level. And then notice it just got back into the previous channel. This green line here is the bottom of the previous channel. SPY broke out above the channel here in December and took off running, December through February, and now it dropped back into the previous channel. So what we were looking for is a bounce off the bottom of the channel, which is exactly what it's doing right now. So the two key levels to hold are 305 and 302. If you see SPY going below 302, that's going to signal more downside risk, and it could come down to 291 and test the 300-day simple moving average. If 302, 305 holds, look for a bounce back into the bands. You can see the lower Bollinger Bands at 310, so it's gotten ahead of itself to the downside. And what you could see is a bounce back up to 314, where the 100-day simple moving average is at 315, and where EMA4 is at 314. Usually when you have a strong downtrend like this, and if the stock, equity, index, commodity, cryptocurrency, whatever you're charting, if it's going to stay in a downtrend, it will bounce back to EMA4, fail to break that level, and continue lower. And so what you're looking for now would be a bounce back up to 314, 315, and then if it got above 315, then it could get a more sustainable bounce going. If it goes up and it hits 314 and it stalls out, that's going to signal a temporary top, and it could come back down and retest that 302 level. So, huge volume on this pullback. The selling programs were engaged this week. People got panicked. We're looking at a capitulation type of move. But as you can see from back here in 2019, I mean, there's a lot of room for it to head lower. I mean, theoretically, SPY could come all the way down here to the 400-day simple moving average at 286, or the 300-day simple moving average at 291, because that's the level it bounced off of in June of 2019. You could see over here the bounce level. So we could get a temporary relief bounce here, but if it fails to get back above EMA4 and turn it into support, the downtrend is likely to continue. Keep in mind, bounces during downtrends many times are some of the best moves. You can get some really big up days on bounces when you have major pullbacks like we've had right now. And so so I'm gonna try to start making more chart videos. Thank you for watching. I'll get some more out here in the future.